Okay, folks. Nobody there at present. Let's wait and see if anybody turns up. I don't know which way to reach for my drink. Ah. Lost my head torch. Okay, folks, let's wait and see if anybody joins us. If not, this could be a very short TrampCast Hangout. Let me make sure that I select all chat or live chat rather than top chat. Got the full experience? Okay, folks, people starting to arrive. Hello, hello. Please say hello in chat if you're out there. This is Delta Mike, down and out in Torrevieja. Terry, hello, my friend. Oh, itchy nose. So, this is, I believe, I didn't number the first ones, but I believe this is Hangout number 4. Or will be if we get started. Let's think. I've run out of things to say already. How are you doing, Terry? How's the weather where you are? Remind me, it's Wales, isn't it? Oh, this, I don't like... You know, the other day when we did this, and I had it in portrait, and the chat stayed open all the time. Landscape, it just doesn't do that. And it's not like it's an option that I can select somewhere. Which is annoying. 2 minutes in and it's just me and Terry. It's been sunny but chilly in the shade. 14. It's quite warm here now. Probably a little bit warmer than that still this time of night. And we've got, when you walk outside, somewhere there's a plant in blossom with a lovely soapy, perfumey smell. David, hello, hello. Where are you at, David? Remind us where you are. You're over here, aren't you? You're down in, was it Punta Prima? You've got the same weather as us, more or less. You're just the other side of Torrevieja. I was just saying that we've got this lovely soapy, perfumey smell in the air tonight. I've had the last 2 or 3 nights. I'm not sure exactly which plant it is, but it's a lovely smell. But yeah, I wonder whether it was is it bougainvillea? I'm not sure. That's the name of a plant. I'm not sure if that's the one with the soapy, blossomy smell. But yeah, really nice. And quite warm. I'm actually a little bit too warm with the 2 quilts on at the minute. And here, let's do the other part of the equation. I've got to be careful because we're connected by a wire. But over here, no, didn't take the click. Now it takes a click. There's my girl. She's on top of the bed this time rather than in it. In fact, when we do this, I can do that, can't I? There we go. She doesn't like it. Hey, Tina. Say hello to the nice peoples. No. You're out of luck. Turn that back off. Turn it back around. And back to me, where you belong. Tonight's beverage is a shandy. I've got a few cans left, and I found I've got a bottle of lemonade that I didn't know I had. Well, I did. It was part of the delivery from Maren and Thomas, I think it was, wasn't it? But I thought I'd finished it. I thought I'd finished the lemonade already. But the glass is a mess. Hasn't been washed. Oh, I can't begin to say how long. But it's usually red wine and cola in this glass. So to put beer in it and lemonade is just, it's kind of cleaning the glass out a little bit. Lady of the Night, Blooming Jasmine. Really? I've never heard of that one. Who is it? Is it Adam or is it Mel or is it both? Who's with us? Do I have to click for it to come back? Fucking thing. Hey, folks, I don't know. Are you both there? Okay, that's nice. I don't know if you caught it earlier, guys. In the when I did the TrampCast proper, I was talking about your mouse traps and how fantastic they are. That lethal teeth action that it's got going on, like a bear trap, but obviously smaller. Oh, David's just getting a brew. But yeah, these mouse traps. And that first night, six dead in one night. And they learnt the lesson. They stayed away the next night. But then the night after, they got adventurous again, and we got 2. Then I think we got a 0, and I got 1 the next morning. So we're running on 9 at the minute, the total tally of dead mice from within the tent. That's not a bad tally, because it's only been 5 or 6 days. I'm not exactly sure when I started using them. I don't know if I put them out Monday when you brought them. Possibly. Was it Monday? Tuesday? Whichever day it was you came. I think I put them out that evening. It went well. It went very well. I hate having to keep putting my hand over here because I will wave it in front of the camera. Okay, folks, what can we talk about? From Temu. That's actually impressive. Have I been doing any cooking lately? I cooked some chips. When was that? Early in the week, I cooked a plate of chips. Oh, I had chip butties. I had chips and bread. And today I did some jacket potatoes in the slow cooker, which I accidentally, when we were doing the live stream, get this, folks, get this. I don't know. Here I go now. I'm off. I've got a topic to run with. So the slow cooker, when it's on high, uses 200 watts, almost 200 watts. And the EcoFlow has 250 watt hours. So it basically, if there was no power coming in, it would use it in 1 hour. Well, we had a good bit coming in at times, 80 or 90 watts. So it will still drain at that, but it'll take 2 hours maybe to drain the EcoFlow. Muggins here. I think I turned it down from full to the warm setting, which uses about 100 watts, but we only had 70 or 80 coming in, so it was draining. Muggins here left it on while he was doing TrampCast. Came back in. You know, it was getting windy at the end of the main TrampCast. It was getting windy and a little bit cloudy. The clouds came over, and I thought we were done for the day. And I come in and look at the EcoFlow, and I'm on 43%. I think what's happened is it's used the power right down to 20, where I set a limit, and it turns off, and then it's charged back up from 20 to 43. But we're all right. There's no way I'll use 40% overnight, and tomorrow's due to be a sunny day, allegedly. If you trust the weather forecast, and I don't. But the next 3-4 days are all meant to be quite good for sunshine until next weekend when it gets a bit iffy. One of the days, I think it's Friday maybe, they're talking about 50-kilometre-an-hour winds. And that's the average, that's not the gusts. That's going to be hellish windy. This tent in its current state might not survive that. I don't know. But yeah, Muggins, I left myself short on power. But I'll manage. It shouldn't be any. I started to think, because my phone was low as well, remember, and my phone takes 7 or 8% from to fully charge would take 8%, say, of the EcoFlow, 8 percentage points. So I thought that'd take us down around 35. Then overnight it would probably use another 8%, so down to 27, 28. But we'll manage. I mean, I've got lights plugged in as well, charging, and I've got the. I don't know if you heard it earlier, Adam and Mel. I'm using the fly, the USB fly killer thing, and that's doing really well. Get a lot less flies in here when we've got that turned on, and it's getting a little bit. It's getting ready for a cleaning with the little brush that you supplied. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Yeah, I just have to find. I'm sure that there's a bunch of shopping bags through there that have got food, and some of them have got some fruit in, and I think I've got something going on the turn. Maybe an orange or something, and that's attracting a bit of attention. I have to track down what it is that's on the turn and where. But we'll manage. We'll find it. We'll track it down. But at least that's stuff that the mice won't touch. They don't bother with any of my fresh fruit or veg. So that's good. But I do sometimes just lose track of what I've got. If different people bring me different things, and obviously now I've got these drawers that Adam and Mel brought me, and I've got the veg rack that Colleen brought me. Was that just before? Was that before Christmas or just after? Can't quite remember. But I've got my veg rack for potatoes and onions and things. And I've got these big plastic boxes, these big plastic totes for putting some stuff in. But I do sometimes just lose track of what's in the plastic bags, in the shopping bags that I have some things in. And some things do unfortunately get left, too long. I'm a bugger with the carrots. No, we haven't had the hot dogs yet. No, I've still got. There was 2 jars of hot dogs, wasn't there? And I've got a tin. I got a tin of hot dog sausages as well somewhere. No, we haven't had those yet. What was I thinking of? Oh, tomorrow I'm going to finish the potatoes and stuff. Didn't finish cooking because I did too many. I was baking a load of potatoes and 2 onions. But I overcrowded the pan, and the slow cooker needs more energy. Those will finish probably by early afternoon tomorrow. So that'll be tomorrow's food: jacket potato and cheese, probably, or maybe a bit of pate. Maybe, we'll see. I'm going to cook a stew of some description later this week. I've got some older potatoes that need using. I've got loads of onions, some of which go back to Christmas. They're sprouting nicely. I almost wish I'd got somewhere to plant them and create some new onion bulbs. But no, I'll maybe do like a chicken flavoured, or maybe I've got fish, haven't I? I've got tins of tuna and sardines and things. I could do some kind of fish soup or stew. Don't know, folks. I haven't done any real cooking, and every time I think that we might have a day where I'll do some cooking, suddenly the wind picks up, and where it is at the minute, it's a bit inefficient to cook in the wind because it basically blows the gas away before it ignites, and you're left with a strong smell of gas in the air and incomplete combustion. I need to get some bricks around where the stove is as a windbreak. Speaking of bricks, I heard a ceramic-y sound earlier. Pottery on pottery, brick on brick kind of noise. And because I'd had stones thrown at me recently, I was up and at it and out the bloody door. And what did I see when I get there? Matey boy, Pepe, the Spanish guy, walking up through the field. So he's come past and he's gone up, and he's carrying one of my fucking bricks. These are big kind of air brick things, but like 4 times the size of a British brick, with air holes running right through it. Spanish walls tend to be a bit hollow. But he's without asking or anything, So the ceramic-y noise I heard was him sliding one brick off the top of another, and off he fucks up the field. Cheeky bastard. I was just talking earlier how I might use those bricks on the floor and put the mattress on top of the bricks so that the mattress is one brick height off the floor. And I'm now down one brick. I got one brick less than I thought I had. Well, one brick less than I actually had. What a cheek. I'm not getting any. Okay, let me just read back and check that I haven't. No, I haven't missed anything. I've got you all. I've no idea why he would nick one brick, but he was walking up through the field with a carrier bag, a shopping bag, and this one brick. He got to the top of the road and he never crossed the road or anything. So he must have been standing there waiting for a lift off somebody or something, but behind a bush, the other side of a bush. Well, to take it without asking. I've said in the past how I build up resources that I might not have a use for now, but that might be useful later. I mean, those bricks I did use, they were my bed once upon a time. I had 2 wooden chairs with a cross beam across, and 2 piles of bricks with a cross beam, and then the 4 planks. And later on, I just had 4 smaller piles of bricks with the cross beams and planks for a different bed construction. So I find a use for things. I was just talking about how I'm going to put a bunch of bricks, these taller big brick things, stood around my stove as a windbreak, and now I'm 1 brick less. I just don't get why he would take it without even asking. That's an absolute cheek. Why the fuck would you do that? Now, by the time I saw him, he was too far up the field for me to say anything. Yeah, he lives in a tent. So across from me to the east, there's a row of trees. Well, not just one row, but there's a bank of trees. And he's on the other side of those trees, which is a weird place to be because he's fully exposed to the wind that comes in from the east or the northeast. He's not got a bank of trees between him and the winter wind. Now in summer the breeze tends to be from the south or southwest, but this winter it's been mainly from the northeast and east, and he's got no boundary between him and that. No. The other day, get this one, talking about presumptuous again. The other day he started talking about when he gets a new tent, he's going to move into the field, and he wants me to run a cable across to his tent so that he can charge his phone and things. And I was trying to say to him, you can't run a cable that far that's DC, direct current. The losses as you move, 20, 30 meters or whatever, the losses on a cable running DC, low voltage, would be too big. And I'm certainly not running AC across to him all day long. The losses on my EcoFlow from running the inverter, you're losing an extra 30 watts while just from having the inverter on. But he just like demanded the power. He just stated that that's what we were going to do. I'm like, fuck no. I don't know, folks. The way that after he had his trouble with his phone last week, whenever it was, and now he seems to pop along here every second day expecting to cook food with my gas. Don't know. He came along today and hung about, and I just said, no, I've got to prepare for TrampCast. I've got to go and do my broadcast to my fans. I've got to go and talk to the world, talk to the peoples, as I say to Tina. And he hung around like a bad smell for 5 minutes, and in the end I just had to say, right, Tina, inside, and just leave him hovering there. The presumptuousness of it. He's going to move into the field and I'm just going to supply him with electricity. I don't know. Oh, we've got a few people arriving now. The numbers are picking up a bit. But yeah, the puzzle of why he took a brick up to the top of the road, I got no idea. You know, regardless of the fact that he didn't ask before taking it. I mean, none of these bricks that are here were here when I arrived. I've had to carry them back over the months. Get this, this guy doesn't even have, he's got no cooking facilities in his tent. Chris Dadachoski, hello, hello. I've got an arrow stuck in the middle of your message, so I can't see it. Oh, hello again, Mr. DM. Yeah, okay. But yeah, he has no cooking facilities at all. Now he works, so he goes off, he gets money, and then he just buys either takeaway or ready-to-eat meals, or, you know, a loaf of bread and or baguettes and something to put on them. The other day it was cheese and anchovies, which didn't strike me as the nicest combination when he offered me some. But unfortunately, I'd already eaten. I'd had cheese and onion sandwiches. But he doesn't cook at all. He's never got like a little camp stove even, and the gas bottles. He just earns money on you know, a backhander, earns some money, spends it like there and then, as far as I can tell, and then wants to come and cook things on my gas. Now I'm fortunate that my mates look after me. Karen and family looked after me. They came round the other day and did a few favours for me. They went shopping for some food. Well, they asked me what I needed and they brought some things. And then when they got here, I started talking and I said about how he'd been and asked for some dog food because he didn't have any money and no work lined up. He had no dog food, so I gave him 3 days worth and left myself low. And I'm telling them this, and then it dawns on me that they've just asked me what I needed from the shop, and I've not said dog food. Oh, here's another one. So, Karen's husband goes and fetches a sack of dog food for me. 16 kilograms or 18 kilograms nowadays, whatever size it is. Fetches me. So he takes a second shopping trip. They've just been once. He goes back again and gets the dog food. Where was I going with it? Oh, and then so when he comes back, and we're talking, they offer to take my gas bottle and because my gas bottle was running on vapors. Again, we were talking about Matey Boy coming down and using my gas while I'm on. Literally, you shook the gas bottle, you couldn't hear or feel anything inside. It was just literally running on vapors, but he was coming down like 3 times a week to use my gas for 15-20 minutes at a time. Heating up already cooked chicken. Yeah. So anyway, Karen family, so they did me some shopping. They went back and got dog food. Then they went and swapped the gas bottle for me. Not just the physical act of going, but he paid as well. He got it for me. They really do look after me, these folks, guys. They do me a hell of a lot of favours. Yeah, I can't thank them enough. I really can't. The whole family. Don't know if you're out there, Karen. I don't know if you're watching. Probably not. You'll be busy. Busy back in the UK. But yeah, folks, it's a little bit annoying when there's someone. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of a little bit by Matey Boy over the back of the field. But I am a bit of a softie. So he came and asked for dog food that time, and I gave him 3 days worth and left me and Tina a little bit short. So you can have a look at this. I think she's sleeping. Hold on. Oh, they made it so the first click worked for a while. Where are you, babe? Oh, you woke up. There she is. Hey. What are you looking at? What are you looking at, Tina girl? Turn that off. I'm back. Back to me, folks. Back to me. So, what do we want to talk about? You got any topics? You're all under orders. You're supposed to come along with questions and science or computing topics or questions. I've had a little bit of a read around this evening. Whoops, look at that. Sorry, folks. Right in front of the camera. Let's just top that up. And then I'll reach for the lemonade. Where did I put it? Back here, was it? It was. Here's the lemon. Reduced to shandy, folks. Reduced to shandy. Oh. I was going to make a coffee, or maybe even a soup, a cup of soups, but the wind was too much. Now I'm going to spill this. So here's a bit of science or medical news that I saw earlier, which is really interesting. And now I've lost the word. Hold on. What do you call the chickenpox virus when it comes back later in life? I'm going to do this again, where I'm going to throw the clues out, and you have to shingles. They did a huge study. This was in Wales. Did a huge study of people who'd had the shingles vaccination, and what they found was that the occurrence of Alzheimer's afterwards was reduced by 20% amongst the group that had the vaccination. Why would that be? There are other studies in the past that have linked the shingles virus, or chickenpox virus, whatever you want to call it, that have linked that with Alzheimer's. So there's something going on there. Well, I found that quite interesting. I can't think why there would be a relation between them. But oh, I've turned chat off. Fuck. Hold on. Here we go. No, nobody's talking to me. But I can't think why that would be. I don't know why there would be that link. Now, it's obviously, there's something weird about the virus, the fact that you get chickenpox as a kid, and then the virus lays dormant in your body. You don't actually fight it off fully. It stays dormant, and then later on is triggered in older age somehow. But these vaccinations are the proper, real, old-fashioned kind, where you take the dead or a denatured version of the virus. So you're putting in kind of dead virus cells just to teach the body how to recognize them. It's not the RNA type vaccinations. You had shingles as a kid. Oh wow! I know there's a lot of controversy now about vaccines and vaccinations. I'm a big believer in them still. The proper, real, old-fashioned ones, the ones where you're using the dead cells from the virus itself to train the immune system. I've got real suspicions about this RNA stuff. These modern versions of vaccines that are, well, that were pretty much untested prior to the disease we're not allowed to talk about. I don't even know, are we allowed to talk about it anymore? if I say that name, do we get a box under an information box pointing us to the World Health Organization underneath the video afterwards? What have I had? I've had the tetanus shots. I let's talk about this for a little bit. I got in a scuffle a few years back, saving a man's life. That sounds over dramatic. I truly believe I did. So, action man again, moving towards trouble. So there's a man down an alleyway on the floor, and there's two guys, and one's picking him up and one's hitting him. And then the one who's holding him smacks his head against the floor. And then they swap. The other one picks him up, smacks his head on the floor, picks his head up, and the other one takes a swing at him. And they're swapping this. They're doing this repeatedly over a period. And I look down the alleyway and I shout, "Oi, stop!" And I expect them to run off because action man, I don't know. Yeah. So I go over to them and we exchange words. And they say, "Leave it alone. He's a bad man. He deserves what he's getting." And I'm like, nobody deserves that. Repeatedly smacking his head on the floor, picking him up just to punch him. Two of you against one. And I just said, no, that's not happening. I can't look away. I don't care how bad a man he is. That's just not happening. So they say to me, and these are like big blokes. These look like bouncers. They're both, fucking twice the size of me. But I just tell them, no, I can't walk away. I can't let that happen. And so things take the obvious course. And I get smacked. The guy's got, I'm not sure if it was a roll of coins in his hand or just a metal bar, or he's got something in. It's not a knuckle duster per se. He's not hitting me with metal, but he's got something heavy in his hand, and he hits me, and I go down on the floor, and then the guys start kicking me in the head. And when I get up, I've got a well, it's not really a cut, but I've got my top lip is basically torn off. I got a cut coming up here and across there like that, like an inch or an inch and a half across, and then down, and the whole thing's like hanging loose, waggling down, fucking blood everywhere. The last remaining teeth I had, I only had 6 or 7 at this point, but they're all gone, from being kicked in the face repeatedly that night. But as far as I know, the guy that was on the floor, he got away after this. There's no reports of anybody being, nobody found dead in an alleyway. But I had this thing dangling down, hanging off. So, like a fool, I didn't go to the hospital there and then. In fact, someone had called the ambulances and said there's a man with his face kind of exploded. I think it was one of the two guys that did it. I didn't see anybody else. There's the two guys that did it, or the one guy that got away, the guy that'd been beaten up. One of them must have called the ambulance. And like an idiot, I avoided the ambulance, like deliberately. I'm hiding from it behind parked cars and get myself off home. What I don't realise is, as I've gone home, I've left like blood all over, hands full of blood all over the walls and fucking everywhere. Get up the next morning and get a taxi to the hospital. The reception at the hospital. You have to give your name to the woman on reception. What's your name? Fucking, I can't talk. I've been beaten up. I'm all battered and bruised, but I've got a fucking half my lip dangling down. Yeah. Took about 5 minutes to give her my name. And even then, when I leave later, she says, "Oh, sorry about that. I should have just given you a pen and paper, shouldn't I?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that would have worked." But I didn't think of it at the time either, so I can't really comment. But a couple of days later, I'm at the dentist's. I said I'd got 6 or 7 teeth before this happened. I had a couple of plates, and they got smashed and broken to bits, and I should have been entitled to a whole new set because I'm the victim of an attack. So free dentures, great. 18-month waiting list. Not so great. I've got a business. I've got my own office in city centre offices right next to the town hall. I've got clients coming in and out. I've got to be on the phone speaking to people. Can't wait 18 months for some fucking false teeth. Yeah, the adventures, folks, the adventures. I've always been one for moving towards trouble and stepping in where angels feel fear to tread. But I got the tetanus at that point. That's how I was getting onto this. Obviously, once you've had gravel and bits of whatever and someone's foot in your mouth, you're at risk of certain things. So I had the tetanus shots and what have you. Chris is concerned about all vaccines now. They do pad them. There are things in them that possibly shouldn't be, but I don't know. I don't know that any's ever been shown to be harmful in any meaningful way. Sorry, okay, I misspoke there. There have been incidents where certain vaccines have caused harm, but they get identified fairly quickly and withdrawn. So I'm a proponent. I think vaccines have been one of mankind's greatest achievements overall. Millions, if not billions, of people alive because of them. But yeah, some of the things that you find that they do put in, you wonder how and why. Like I said, I'm suspicious of the RNA ones in particular. Got an arrow telling me that there are more comments further down, but there aren't. But yeah, no, I just thought that was interesting that I forgot the name of it again. Shingles. That the shingles virus is linked to Alzheimer's in some way, and that the and that the vaccines that work against it might have some protection against dementias. I'm not sure if it's specifically Alzheimer's or dementias in general, because dementia's a more general term, isn't it? Thomas has had his face stomped by multiple people as well. Yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, I saw a situation and I couldn't walk away. I just had to, I think if it had been me against any one of the two guys, I would have fancied my chances, but two at once, and with them having the metal thing inside their fist, giving it extra weight, I dropped on the floor straight away. I've always been one for moving towards trouble. If I see trouble, did you see? There's one of the live streams I did, one of the TrampCasts. I sat down, I turned the camera on, I pushed to go live. And within 2 seconds, there was a screech of brakes from up on the road, and it sounded like there'd been a car crash. So even though I'd just gone live, I had to get up and out of my chair carefully and what have you. Tina was still mobile at this point, I think. And we headed off on up to see what was what, see if anybody needed help. Just always done it. I did it in the local pub a few months before coming out here. 2 ex-Marines or was there 3? I think 2. There might have been a third guy with them. We're starting trouble with the lad who was working behind the bar, and they'd opened. We got these like French door things. We've got this, and they'd got him trapped kind of between the wall and the door. And I'm saying to everyone in the bar, "Come on, guys, we can't let that happen." And everyone else is like, "No, nothing to do with those. Leave it to him. He's paid to be here. We're not." And I'm like, "No." In, face up to them, confront them, tell them that that's not acceptable and that they better go now. And we had a standoff for a while, and eventually some of the others backed me up, and we got them out. But most people will just stand back and stay away, and I'm just always, some would say I'm a troublemaker, But no, the trouble's already there. I'm just moving towards it. Always have, probably always will. It's caused me problems in the past. Probably will again in the future. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes, haven't you? You got to do what you got to do. Let's see, what else did I see today in the news? Well, recently, not necessarily today. I've seen 2 stories this week about these companies that do the DNA testing. 23andMe is one, and that one's gone bankrupt, and whoever buys the company gets everybody's DNA data, everyone who's signed up, and it's not just the DNA data, because this stuff is now so accurate. They can look at your DNA and find your relatives, even ones that you don't know about. They can say you're so closely linked, you must be. And one of the examples that I saw this week was a lady who was contacted by someone who's been told by the DNA company that they're brother and sister. The DNA match is so precise, and they've never heard of each other, they don't know each other. And it turns out she was swapped at birth back in the, I think it was the 50s or it might have been the 40s, 1940s or 50s. Swapped at birth in an NHS hospital. Yeah, so well, 2 couples have obviously been handed the wrong babies back, and imagine the trauma of that. So the brother that you brought up with isn't your brother, and she looked nothing like anybody else in the family. She was blonde, I think she said, and nobody else was. And then she's introduced to this other, to the biological family, and the brother that she's got there, she says you could have put a wig on him and it would have been her. I'm not sure what that says about either him or her. Either she's got a very butch face or he's got a very feminine face, I guess. But yeah, she basically said this in national news. You could have put a wig on him and it would be me. But imagine that. So that's one story. The fact that this lady, she's in her 80s, I think, and she's just found out a couple of years ago that this has happened, and they've just reached some kind of settlement with the hospital system, NHS, whatever. But the other thing is that they're just selling this. Whoever buys this company, or the remnants of this company, gets the DNA of everybody. Hold on. Daddy Trotsky said something about still got the scar from that one. What's that? Are we talking about a vaccine or a fight? I've got a scar. This is why I try and keep a moustache on my top lip. My lip looks weird without. Although I was so fortunate, folks, when I went to that hospital, what I didn't know, Lancaster Royal Infirmary has got one of the country's top plastic surgeons, especially on the facial side, and yeah, I was dealt with by the best, and I was in and out in next to no time. Let's think. They told me to sit down, and then they came and got me. They rushed me through. I was like the first person through. This was a Tuesday morning after a bank holiday weekend. So you would have thought they would have been full with all the drunks from the night before. I get rushed straight through. This guy comes down. I've got a pierce wound here where one of my teeth has come through at the bottom, and I've got this cut and dangling down lip, and he's training someone else while he's doing it. So they get this cloth and do all the antiseptic stuff, injections. He tells me it's going to hurt, and I just say, mate, just fix my face. I'm not bothered about hurt. Get on with it. And he does. I've never liked needles, even as a kid. But no, I was fine. half a dozen injections around the mouth, and some in on the underside of the lip, and away he goes. 10 or 12 stitches in quite a small area, really. But I guess some of them would be on the inside, and away I go. In and out, probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half in total. But that was like waiting for the injections to take, waiting for it to get numb, having them do the stitches and the work, having them test stuff and do things afterwards. You know, they check that the blood flow and everything's still all right. But yeah, no, I was so lucky. But yeah, the DNA companies, that's, I find that stuff deeply concerning. The fact that they can look nowadays, so they can get the DNA from a crime scene, and then they can get a like a search warrant to run against those databases, and even if they don't get an exact match, they can find the family of the person who did it and go get them that way. They can say, "Oh yeah, no, it's like an uncle or a brother," or, and they find someone, and then they just start testing members of that family. I find that concerning. I find the fact that this information and these databases all cross-linked, and it's just up for grabs. It's just up for sale now that the company's gone bust. So even if you had a company that was totally trustworthy and no bad intentions, that starts off and does these things, but then they go bankrupt, and now it's just up for grabs. Whoever wants it can have it. Nothing to stop a government from just buying it or subsuming it. Or a collection of governments. Who knows? Find that worrying. It only takes a few relatives and you're mapped. Yeah. Because, you know, your DNA is not that different from your brother or sister's. You know, they can tell that the parents that he came from, you can chase it all down, assuming that parents are parents. That was the other thing, wasn't it? They started doing this DNA testing in Birmingham a few years ago for every newborn child. They were taking a genetic profile. I guess the idea was it was in case babies were stolen, in case anybody was kidnapped or run away with. But while they were there, you know, they could test the kids' DNA against both parents. 30% of all babies born in that Birmingham hospital, daddy wasn't the daddy. 30% of all children born in that Birmingham hospital, daddy is not daddy. There's a statistic and a half. Do with it as you will, but biowarfare. There's another thing. You can target. I think the Russians were caught doing this at some point. They made a virus that would only target one specific family or person. I think family. Yeah, that has implications. If you're at war with someone and you release a virus that only kills the leader's family, well, the leader and his family. Biological warfare. Not sure where the Geneva Convention stands on that one. I think it's not allowed, but who's going to tell certain world leaders? What else is happening in the world, folks? I don't know what other news I've seen. I haven't got the memory for it anymore. With the Spanish medical system accommodate me if I was ill? Serious stuff, yeah, you know, emergency type stuff. Run of the mill stuff, you get a sniffle or a cold, I don't think so, no, no. Fortunately, I don't get ill. Never had a broken bone that I know about. I used to be a runner. I used to run a lot. It's entirely possible that I've had broken bones in the foot. Running along and something will crunch and it's sore for a few days or a week. It's entirely possible I have had small, innocuous broken bones, but nothing that I've known about, nothing that's been confirmed, diagnosed, treated. I'm really lucky when it comes to kind of illness and stuff. Like I said, I also used to be a boxer once upon a time. I've had some beatings, and like we just talked about before. But other than, I think those were dental stitches are pretty much my only. I think those are the only stitches I've ever had. I've had dental operations in the past. We said at some point that we would talk about why I've got no teeth. I just told you how I lost my last 6 or 7. There's more of a story for where all the rest went. We'll cover that one day, maybe not today. But yeah, I've had dental operations in the past, so I've had stitches that way, but those are the ones that dissolve and disappear all on their own. But in terms of injuries, health issues, disease, I'm golden. I don't get ill. Thomas says, memories, I saw that odd one. Where are you going with that, mate? Do I need to read back for something? Oh yeah, I think I saw the importing plutonium. Yeah, he wanted to have every element. But there are some, I discussed one earlier today. There's some that you just can't have. They don't exist in nature, kind of thing. And even if you get them, they break down into other substances fairly quickly. What was it called? The one I discussed today in the TrampCast. Element 61 is the guy who stole fire from the gods. Oh, come on, I do know this. He's a titan. He's one of the gods himself. Zeus punished him, had his liver pecked out every day. Here's a clue, folks. You were there. Some of you were there for the sign of nature thinks that we're at an economic collapse. Stock market's only down about 10%, isn't it? I think I saw people showing graphs that have the line hit the bottom, but that's because they stopped the scale at that point. If you showed the full thing, it's dropped like this much at the top. I'm not sure that we're there yet. I'm not gonna. Trump's economic policies, I'm not sure he quite knows what he's doing. Trade tariffs and embargoes and things used to be the way of things, and we've spent like 40, 50, 60 years trying to reduce those barriers. I think Trump's angry that other countries don't buy their cars, but their cars are monsters. American cars are huge, guzzle a lot of gas and travel nowhere on it. I got you. I did get it. Can you see that? I got him. Plucked a mosquito out of the air. I am become death, destroyer of mozzies. Yeah, American cars. They're huge. They're gas guzzlers. The reason that the rest of the world don't buy them isn't because of import duties or whatever. Not mainly. That's not the main reason. The main reason is that they're so big that nobody wants them. I don't know. We're getting onto politics, and I don't really want to pick sides. Yeah, tariffs, import and export duties. I've never understood why. I gave this example a few days ago, I think. I bought a device from America called an e-bookman. It was basically 9 or 10 years before Kindle book readers came out, by a company called Franklin, an American company. I bought it and had it just shipped across, and got stuck with like a 20% duty. And it's like, why am I paying my government 20% of the value of a product that they've had fuck all to do with? The UK hasn't touched it. The UK didn't build it. It wasn't made with UK materials. It's got nothing to do with the UK. Why does my government want me to pay just because I bought a device that isn't made here? I don't see what right they had to that. And then, of course, the Royal Mail stuck me for a processing and handling fee on top. I think that was an extra tenner or so. I ended up paying 30 quid extra. Device only cost 50 in the first place. So there's always been these things. There's always been these Prometheus, thank you. And Prometheum was the thank you. I sometimes the brain just doesn't work. Evening all from Antiquera. Antiquera? Give us a clue. Sativa breeder. Where is... Okay, sativa is a brand of, or a flavour of herb, yeah? Okay. Judging from the picture. I don't know anything about these things, but fair enough. But I don't know. It sounds either Spanish or Italian. Antiquera. Yeah, Prometheus, yeah. Okay. Did I miss... Hold on, let me just go back and make sure I've caught everybody else. Yeah, the guy importing plutonium. Okay, I'm back to... I know where we are. So I saw not an article. I saw a video a few days ago that basically said that Britain has been moving away from selling cars to America, exporting cars to America, over the last 10 or 15 years. For not exactly because of this reason, but I guess our manufacturers have been moving towards electric, whereas America, apart from Tesla, America kind of hasn't much. And we've been avoiding, the car manufacturers basically found alternative markets for the products, and kind of divested themselves of the American market anyway. So I don't know. I don't really get what it's all about. I'm not sure Trump fully understands what he's destroyer of Moses, masher of mice. Yeah. We're still on 9. I haven't heard any clunks tonight. North of Malaga. Okay. Hold on. I got Thomas Crazy Story. Thomas Crazy. Is that that's the plutonium guy, is it, that you're talking about? Oh, EcoFlow just popped on. 39%. Where are we? When you return to the UK, you won't recognise it. People keep telling me this. Yeah. Yeah. What can you say without being racist? I lived in Tooting for a year. If you know anything about Tooting, you'll know where I'm going with that one. Very colourful in the street markets. But yeah, also the free speech stuff in the UK. You know, some guys worried that his school, the headmaster leaves, and the deputy head just gets the position without any recruitment process to bring in external people or anything. So he's a little bit unsure about it all. Him and his wife complain about it a little bit in a Facebook group, a WhatsApp group, not even a Facebook group. It wasn't like a public group. It's kind of private conversations amongst a small group of people. Next thing you know, you've got 6 coppers at the door arresting them. Worse, they were released at midnight, like fucking 40 miles from home. How were they meant to get home? You get arrested and dragged off. I mean, his mistake was opening the bloody door. You're under no obligation to open your door to the police. If they've got a warrant, they'll kick it in anyway. Make them. That way there's no argument about whether you went willingly. If they show up and waive a warrant and you walk out the door, they can argue that you came voluntarily. And then you've got a question about when did the arrest take place and how long can they keep you? Because they've only got, used to be 24 hours, then it became 48. Is it 72 hours now they can keep you maximum from when they arrest you? If they can argue that you attended the station voluntarily, the clock doesn't start until it becomes obvious that they're not letting you go. So you make them arrest you. You make it be obvious. If they're going to kick, if they've got a warrant, make them kick the door in. If they've just come along mob-handed for a friendly chat, just don't answer. Just say no. There are videos online of the UK police threatening people if they don't attend a voluntary interview. If you don't come down the station for a voluntary interview, we're going to arrest you now. What? So I do get off on one when it comes to abuse of authority, and the police, and the police do get my goat sometimes. I watch these Americans, they call them auditors, don't they? People who go out and test whether their rights are being upheld. Do the police know the law? Do the people who are enforcing the law know the law? And do they follow the rules properly? Or do they abuse it and abuse you? And some people think that these guys are going along and causing trouble and are doing it just for clicks. Maybe to a point. But if the police are willing to abuse someone who's carrying a camera and who's videoing them, what are they willing to do to you when you haven't got a camera? So yeah. A shitstorm is coming for the UK. So sativa breeder. Are you British or Spanish or what? What? You've been here 19 years. British though, yeah? Is David still here? David's been here a lot of years. I can't. Did we work out the other day? He came over in '99. I haven't seen him post for a while, so I don't know if he's still here. Or am I imagining it? Was he never here? Hold on. I gotta go right back. I'm sure he was here. Yeah, there he was. Okay. It's a long way back though. I haven't seen a post from him in a while. Wow, 16 people here. Folks, if you wouldn't mind, if you could give us a thumbs up, give us a like maybe. If you're not subscribed, consider it. If you've seen 2 or 3 of my videos already, not necessarily these live streams, these hangouts are very different to the normal content. But If you're new here and you want to know what's going on, what the hell's a TrampCast Hangout? I am a homeless guy, a homeless Englishman, trapped by circumstance in Spain. I won't go into all the details right here, right now. If you want to know all the details, TrampCast space 001 for the full backstory. Who I am, what my educational background was, what my work history was, how I ended up in Spain, how I ended up homeless. It's a bit of a story. Like I said, it is 2.5 hours, TrampCast 001. I'm going to try and edit it down for you one day and make a condensed version. I did try and redo it and make a condensed version, but my friend Jack Attack kept taking us off on tangents, and I think we ended up with a longer video than the one I was trying to shorten. Yeah. But these hangouts are just us just chatting, just anything goes, more or less. Let's just chat. But don't want to get too much into specific politics. Talk about general trends and general stuff in general. But I'm not going to pick sides between, you know, Biden and Trump, or whatever the woman was called that seems to have disappeared. I don't even remember her name. Wow, that's good. I'm normally quite good at this stuff. Just out of interest, guys, what was her name? Fuck. I can picture her. Kamala. The pronunciation, Kamala. Wherever you want to put the emphasis. Kamala Harris. I got there in the end, folks. I got there in the end. Fuck. Terrible. My memory, not her. I'm not, like I said, I'm not picking sides. I can never remember. I think he's Norwegian, Thomas, isn't he? Isn't what one of those countries is technically not in the EU, but they pay a fee to be treated like the EU. I can never remember whether it's Norway or Sweden. They're in the Free Trade Association or whatever it's called. Pay a fee for the privilege. That might be Sweden. Terrible memory for that stuff, folks. Itchy nose. Oh, scroll. Yeah. Okay, folks. Next topic. Yeah, what happened? Okay, so the guy... Oh, here we go. Politics is an illusion. No left, no right. Just the illusion of choice. There's an old saying, you can vote for anyone you want as long as I choose who's on the ballot paper. And so there's always conspiracy theories about whether there's some kind of hidden cabal controlling that. You know, if you can control who's on the ballot paper, and you give people a choice between two, and they're both basically your candidates. Is that to me, Terry? Did I ever tell you why I left the UK for Spain? I think I've mentioned it once or twice. It's certainly in TrampCast 001, but I'm happy to go over it briefly. I split up. The missus kicked me out. She'd had enough of me. When we first met, I said that I would bore her. I said she'd find me boring, and she disagreed and said she wouldn't. But after 16 years of marriage, I convinced her that I was right and that she would find me boring. I think I was working too much. Years earlier, I discovered this thing called the Joomla Content Management System, JOOMLA. It's like WordPress, except better. It was the next. WordPress was the big contender in the marketplace. Then it was Joomla. Then it's a thing called Drupal, which is Dutch for droplet. Joomla was a Swahili word for all together as one, or some say paragraph or sentence, which tied in with the theme of being a content management system, managing web pages through the website itself. So I specialized in this thing and I got really good at it, and we made a business out of it. But it was taking up, you know how it is when you run a business, all your time goes into it. Plus, computers were my hobby as well. So when I wasn't working, I was on the damn computer. At night, I was checking emails and whatever latest project we were on, I was working on. And yeah, she eventually decided enough was enough. And so we split up. We carried on working together in the company, but eventually I decided, how do you put this? Web design's a difficult business to run because your clients know nothing about websites and about the technology involved, or very few of them. The ones who did understand were great, but the ones who just wanted it, do this, do that, they'd come along and it's like, yeah, I want a mixture. If you can make like a blend of Facebook and Amazon with a bit of eBay thrown in, and they've got a budget of like 900 quid. And you're like, mate, they didn't build Amazon on a 900 quid budget. So it was very demanding, and over time that became more and more difficult just to handle. So we were edging away from that business. We moved into more of a security line, and we had staff, and I thought we'd split up, and I figured I could move abroad and keep the staff on, and I'd just be available as like a consultant. I'd be available but at arm's length, and I could do what I needed to do from a laptop around the pool over here, kind of thing. And for the first year or so, that was okay. That kind of worked. But over time, people started leaving the company, and it ended up with more or less just me. But I'd moved over here by then. I'd had enough. I wanted a difference. My in-laws had a place out here from the 90s onwards, until the father-in-law died, and I'd loved the place. So, with changes in my life circumstances, with the I won't say divorce because we're technically not divorced, but with the separation and what have you, I headed over here. We divided the assets without doing the whole divorce thing. She got the house, I got the money that was in the bank accounts, and over I came. So that's basically how I ended up here. Chris remembers Joomla, never did much with it. I was quite prominent. If you listed the forum members by number of posts, I was certainly in the top 50, maybe higher. Even like years later, after I moved out here, I was still in the top 100 posters on the forums, helping people out. And I was eventually hired by some Americans. I was a, what do you call it? A remote contractor, an independent contractor, but they bought half my time. A company called Joomla Shack back in the day. Hold on. I've got to get through this. Sativa Breeder, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg, World Economic Forum, Council on Foreign Relations. They're above all the... Okay, you think these are the umbrella organizations that control everything? Or do they just want to make business smoother between nations? I don't know. I know people have their suspicions, but you got to be careful with conspiracy theories, don't you? Although there have been a hell of a lot of conspiracy theories that have turned out to be true over the years, like the Iran-Contra scandal, which basically soured Ronald Reagan's reputation. How did that work? The CIA were running drugs and stuff to get money to pay for weapons, to fund an army in Iran or something. I don't know. Okay. Have you got a real name there, Sativa Breeder? Have you got a first name that we can refer to you by other than just the handle? You don't have to if you don't want, but might just make things a little bit easier. You came to Spain because of ill health. Moving here changed your life. Yeah, there's a lot of people. I know a lot of the Scandinavians that are over here have similar things. My friend Ismo spends a lot of time over here, although he's gone back to Finland at the minute. And he has psoriasis, which he comes over here and it clears up. He goes back home and it's kind of crippling. Yeah. We're drip-fed computer technology. You were an engineer at British Aerospace in advanced weapons research. Our computers were web-linked in late 80s. BT Internet predecessor. Pipex. Maybe. Pipex were the first public, in fact, it stood for, didn't it? Public Internet Protocol Exchange. Hello, Deborah. Getting warmer. Certainly is here. Martin, Sativa Breeder is Martin. So you were an aerospace engineer, advanced weapons. Wharton? In the Preston kind of area, maybe? Or are you in the underground bunkers at, what's the place called? That's a weapons research place, isn't it? It's not coming to me. It's not coming to me. I can debunk the flat earth theory, says. I'm assuming this is Adam. If the earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off by now. Okay, DARPANET, the original, the Defense Advanced Research Projects. I can't think what the R would be. Can't remember. A lot of cloud seeding. Oh, have we had this conversation before? Tina, what are we doing, darling? Hey, babe. Where are you going? Hey. Ooh. Oh, I've lost the chat. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. Kidderminster Summerfield Research Station. I don't know that one. What's the one I was thinking of? Isn't in bunkers under Dartmoor. They're probably more the bacteria stuff, though. The germ warfare place is probably what I've got in mind. So cloud seeding, what are we thinking about cloud seeding? That just causes it to rain. For rain to happen, let me think this through. It turns out that you need particles, what do you call them, from space. And they cause a fine aerosolization to begin, which becomes droplets and then falls. I'm trying to remember the right words. But assuming that those particles are coming in, you can drop certain chemicals in the sky and cause the rain to fall. You put the aerosols in the sky, the aerosolization. You start the process, and you can cause it to rain earlier than it would otherwise, or in different places than it would otherwise. And then people go off on one and start mixing this up with chemtrails, as they call them. And I'm more of a believer in contrails, as in condensation, which again is this condensation is the aerosolization of the particles in the air. I don't know. I'm not convinced on the whole geoengineering thing. I don't know. It doesn't convince me as yet. Happy to keep reading about stuff though, and where are we? Okay, I think I've got everything. I don't think I've missed anything. Oh, scrolling, fingers in front of cameras. So Thomas says he had a discussion with a Swede a month or two back who says that the different pressure or atmosphere differences at different heights causes lingering contrails. I can believe that, because you do get boundaries between, say, warm air and cold air, or high pressure and low pressure, and things. You can get things where light bounces and refracts. In fact, that's what a mirage is, isn't it? But those are lower down, obviously. But you get that light hits a boundary and reflects or refracts, and you get that appearance of water on the horizon. So I could imagine something like that could cause condensation, contrails, as opposed to chemtrails, contrails, to stick around for slightly longer. But you've also seen crisscrossing patterns. Trondheim. I've got a friend who flits backwards and forwards between Trondheim and, gosh, somewhere in Italy. Can't think. Well, it's a friend of a friend. Whoa! Did I get it? I'm not sure that time. I don't see it. Snow that burns without any droplets of water, i.e. plastic chemicals. Don't know. Happy to look into it. Okay. Although I got to go back, because you did give me Martin, wasn't it? Sativa. Martin. Chemtrails are real. Look up Operation Indigo Skyfold. Plus 32 USA states currently have legislation going to ban geoengineering. Indigo Skyfold. So definitely chemtrails, not contrails. What kind of chemicals are we looking at then? Bardo is back. Hello, hey. Don't mention the lizard people. You mean Charlie? Sorry, King Charles III. Aluminium for one, says Deborah. These are the chemicals in the chemtrails. That's okay. That's just cloud seeding again, though, yeah? I mean, I know that cloud seeding happens and it does use aerosolized. That's an awkward word to keep saying at this time of night. Aerosolized chemicals of some sort or another. I thought they were usually salts of some description, though. In my head, it's that they're fine salt crystals, might be the right word. Graphene, that would surprise me. That's a modern chemical. That kind of didn't exist until 20 years ago. Well, I mean, it did. All you needed was some sellotape and a pencil, but let me see if I can just... I'm cramped for space here, folks. See if I can top up my shandy. There's the beer. Still on the same one, aren't I? Oh! And here's the limo. It's a very yellow lemonade. Is it a brand? Nope. Carrefour's own brand. Mm. Chemicals released in the clouds to modify the weather. I've no doubt that cloud seeding happens. I mean, that's but on steroids, people are saying here. Okay. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I've every time I've gone off and looked into it, I come away kind of dissuaded. I come away believing the government line or you guys talking amongst yourselves about areas in the country where you live. Okay, that's good. So how much weather modification do we expect these things to do then? It's not just to trigger some rain where there wouldn't be some before. What else does it give us? Clear skies? Oh, it's Bardo one with here. Gone banned to the mag. Oh, now we've got eugenics. Desert countries, places. China's got a big fuck off desert in the middle of it, hasn't it? And the Emirates is obviously desertified. So again, cloud seeding to cause rain. I can understand, but sativa, whose name I've forgotten already. Hold on, let me go back. It's here somewhere. It was Martin, wasn't it? I've just remembered it without getting there. I didn't find it. Martin says it's like geoengineering. Tina, it's okay. It's just people walking past. Shush. Hey, babe. It's just people walking past on the track. That's okay. They're allowed. They have my permission. How do we get from cloud seeding and weather modification and chemtrails to eugenics? There's a line there that I didn't quite follow. Just shush a minute, because I heard that. Is there somebody there? Tina, quiet. Quiet, darling. Oi! Could have just been the wind or a mouse. You don't think so, do you? Hold on, folks. I think I've got to go and have a look. Head torch on. Stay there, sweetheart. Tina, stay. Oh. What the fuck? Hey. Tina, stay. Tina. Quiet. Don't think there's anybody there, darling. Tina, girl. It's okay. It's okay. False alarm. It's okay. Oh. False alarm, sweetheart. Oh, we've got a moth inside. We did have, it's dead now. I accidentally killed it. Oh! Okay, baby. Well, we're all alright. Safe and sound. Oh, wrong way. Oh, sorry about that, folks. Oh. Bradford, Barnsley, Rotherham. I've done the Barnsley thing. Well, close by. Darfield. Look up Bill Gates. I thought you said lock up Bill Gates. That's a plan to block sunlight. I mean, there's a serious scientific thing there. We only need to reduce the solar energy coming in by 1 or 2% to counteract supposed global warming. So there's a genuine scientific idea there. If global warming's real. Now, I'm still not totally convinced. Despite being a man of science, I don't go along just with scientific consensus. The fact that 98% of scientists say that something's happening, especially when it's not even their field, the graphs don't convince me. The error bars, and especially when you're paying people to research things in a specific direction, you're going to get research coming back saying things are going in that direction. Research tends to come back supporting the people who are paying for it. Let me just backtrack a little bit. I was away a little while. Okay, babe, calm down. Yeah, there was something going on outside, but I think it was people on the path. But then we heard a noise this side, like in the field. But it could have just been the wind. It could have been something falling over. It could have been anything. Global dimming. Yeah. They're not talking about blocking the sun entirely, though, are they? It's to reduce it by 1 or 2%. If you can change the albedo, the amount of sun that gets reflected away, for example, would be one way. Or if you just stop the sun getting here in the first place by putting up a big, like a shield or a mirror or something in the sky, in space. This barium and aluminium stuff I don't know anything about. I'll have to look into. I don't know, guys. Conspiracy theories, you got to be careful with them. Martin's not convinced about global warming either. Like I said, I'm very much on the fence about it. Why block the sun? You don't want to block it entirely. You just want to keep 1 or 2% away, because that's all that we've got. We've got 1 or 2%, 1 or 2 degrees too much energy coming in, coming to Earth and being trapped. If you can just keep some of it away, you can stabilize the temperature back down. My own personal idea would be to build a big metal rod up into space at the North Pole, maybe. And what you could do then, because it's absolute zero out in space, or close to, you could, the metal rod would act as a what's the word I'm looking for? A conductor of heat. Take the heat away from Earth into space, and you could be able to refreeze the poles again by using a pole at the pole. That would be my idea. But you need a big pole to go all the way to space. We're in the territory of space elevators almost. If you're going to build a big pole into space, you might as well use it and build a space elevator to get you off this rock. Eventually, we have to get off this rock. I'm with Elon on that much. We have to become a spacefaring race. How about leaving nature alone? Yeah, if we can show that it's not running out of control, if global warming isn't happening, don't know. That's the gamble, isn't it? Because every now and again you get some story that we're headed back to an ice age again. I mean, I remember that in the late 70s and into the 80s. The worry was that we had an ice age coming. And all it takes now is one big volcanic eruption, and we could be headed back that way again. Something I heard not long ago. Elon's a bit. I don't know why he's that. I don't know why he's all about Mars. I don't know why the moon isn't on the cards, given that it's nearer. Let's get a proper base on the moon, and let's call it Alpha, because you've got to, haven't you? If you're gonna have a moon base, you've got to call it Alpha. Just don't start storing nuclear waste there, because things could go terribly wrong. Disappearing beer. It's a secret beer drinker, not a secret lemonade drinker. Our White's lemonade. Disappearing beer. What's EC 750? I don't know what that is. That was the 70s spiel, or so I've heard, said Thomas. What was that? Was that the Ice Age thing? Was the lockdown about control? I guess, to an extent. But everybody was worried. I mean, initially we didn't know the strength of the virus, whether, you know, the death rate. We didn't know what death rate was going to be. Imagine if the death rate had turned out to be 10% instead of 0.1%. We would have all wanted to stay home and distance and keep away from everybody. But what got me was the way that as soon as the police were given powers, they were all over that shit. As soon as they could stop you in the street and ask you where the fuck you're going, little old ladies taking a walk around some lake that they've had to drive 10 minutes to from home, and they're standing there with a polystyrene cup of coffee, and suddenly they've got 10 policemen around them telling them off. Oh, socks on the washing machine. Do you know that the electric cable that comes supplied with your washing machine, that's just a con. Here's the ultimate conspiracy theory, folks. Your washing machine does not run on electricity from the wall. It runs on nuclear decomposition of socks, but only ever one sock. This is why you put them in pairs and you come out with the one spare. They did the nuclear decomposition thing on the other sock, the nuclear fission, and that's what powers the actual washing machine. It's obvious. There's the conspiracy theory we've all been waiting for. The missing socks from the washing machine. That's why they only take one. It only needs one to power. It's possible that the nuclear reaction on the sock produces power, and that's why you've got the cable. It's to feed electricity back into the grid from your washing machine. How can a rocket engine produce thrust in a near vacuum? Tina, let's listen. Let's listen. They're on the road here. They're on the track. That's okay, darling. That's okay. They're not in the field. They're out there. That's okay. Shh. Quiet. Quiet, quiet. Where am I? Rockets produce thrust by throwing stuff out the back fast, especially if it's expanding, getting hot in a flame. Or the other one is like ion propulsion ones, where you fire out a beam of ionized particles, but it's just the E equals MC squared thing, isn't it? Opposite, equal and opposite reactions. I would have said. But Sweden was the example of not doing the lockdown thing, wasn't it? And they ended up no worse off than anybody else. They're the example that we should probably all have looked to. Although they took a lot of flack at the time, a lot of criticism. What are you doing, Tina? Where's Deborah now? Hold on. Control. It was interesting how little effect COVID had in Africa. That was very interesting. On the flip side, as a continent, Africa, the population are all young. And we had a lot of old people, and we had a lot of old people that were kind of, how would you put this politely? Lingering on, hanging on, people who kind of should have died a year or two earlier, but we'd not had any flu for a few years. So you had a surplus of people who ordinarily would have died, and then you had a bronchial disease, a respiratory disease, which took them out. Whereas Africa didn't have that elderly population. People don't live that long in Africa, do they? Like the average age in South Africa is like 27 or something. It's yeah, you just don't have that, especially in countries where HIV is so prevalent that they've all died young anyway. So that's, I don't know. See, I was never offered a vaccine. I didn't have to turn it down. I wouldn't have taken one if it was offered. I was watching Dr. John Campbell online, and he started off really pro. I mean, he was, he was pro science, pro medicine. He took the government line because of all the uncertainties. But then to watch him over time become uncertain about what he was hearing about, when the evidence was coming out that vitamin D would have a strong protective factor and the government weren't making people, he said everyone in hospital with COVID should have just been given a massive vitamin D shot on day one. And people should have been being advised to take vitamin D as a precautionary step beforehand. And he just, it was funny to watch him turn over time from pro-government line to wondering what the hell they're all doing. And especially when Joe Rogan got the disease and took all of these treatments that were being laughed at by governments, and he recovered within like 2.5 days or something daft. Ivermectin, that was the one. The horse paste, as they kept calling it in the news. You wonder how the engine stays ignited in a vacuum. They take oxygen with them, don't they? It's 2 tanks, one with the fuel and one with oxygen, and it gets mixed in the, what do you call them? The pivoty things at the bottom. Oh, that, yeah, okay, Thomas brings up a point. Once they started with like the vaccine passports and stuff, and apps to track your location and stuff, it was all getting very Orwellian very quickly. And then when you can't keep your job if you can't prove you've had if you haven't had the jab. And you had all these people on TV, comedians and things, pontificating and saying stuff like, if you don't take the jab and you get the disease, you shouldn't get hospital treatment. You should just be left to die. It's your own fault. Schwarzenegger, screw your freedom. All that. That was all very concerning. Things were really taking quite the draconian turn at that point. He's since retracted that, hasn't he? He's like apologised and said he was wrong, but it's easy to apologise and back away from it afterwards when you've been putting the pressure on at the time. Do you need anything to push against? If you've got the thrust, I don't know. Taking the temperature. The laser, it was the first time I ever saw one of those laser thermometer things. Now Deborah's posted something that totally loses me. 19 equals 1 equals A. 9 equals 1. No, that's not a 1, that's an I. Oh, we've gone all numerology now, have we? I don't know what that's. You're saying that you break 19 down, 1 is A, the 9 goes to I, that gets you AI. AI as in artificial intelligence. So it was just COVID-19 because it's code for AI. Is that where you're going? That's a stretch. Yeah, Africa was mostly unvaccinated. That's why they coped. That's one possible explanation. Yeah. Or the other one is what I said about them just not having that bunch of old people. I don't know how to put it politely. They didn't have that bunch of old duffers that were waiting to die. Sounds wrong. But that's why the average age of death from COVID was higher than the normal average age of death. It was killing mainly, not exclusively, but mainly people who would have been killed by flu the previous 2 or 3 years, but we'd not had a flu outbreak for a couple of years. So that's an alternate theory for the same thing, an alternate explanation. I'm trying to follow Thomas's. I'm lost. EC 750 is the equivalent of parts per million 1,500 as a measurement of electric conductivity. Lost. Deborah's grandmother was a decoder in World War II. Are you British, Deborah? Are we talking Bletchley Park? Ivan McTin, yeah. So I'm way behind in the chat, aren't I? Oh, you bugger! I missed that one by a mile. Thomas was told, "Oh, you're killing grandparents if you don't take the jab." Yeah, yeah. And you got to really feel for the people who had loved ones in hospital and couldn't visit them. You know, when they had elderly relatives dying in hospital and they stood outside at the window waving in to people who can hardly see them. Yeah, hospitals were, yeah, all elective surgeries and things were off, weren't they? So you had wards that would normally have had patients in who'd had surgery, and the wards were empty. Deborah's, yeah, that's a code. Oh, did I get it? I missed it again. Fucking thing. Okay, folks, where are we? We're coming up on 2 hours. Yeah, end of life protocols. Yeah, there was a big thing, wasn't there? There are two drugs that you give, even though they're not allowed to kill patients or put them out of their misery. If you give them this certain painkiller, and if it's mixed with this other thing, then the heart stops going and you stop breathing, which basically means that you die. Morphine and something else, I think it was, and people basically the drug makes them forget to breathe. It makes the body forget to breathe, and you just slip away. So yeah, they were using that sort of stuff a lot, and old folks in old folks' homes who were just being left untreated. It's like, oh, you know, they're old. Let's just let those go. And patients being dismissed from the hospitals and just sent back to nursing homes, but not given a COVID test. So they're catching the COVID in the hospital ward, and then being moved back to a nursing home to cross-contaminate all the other patients, all the other residents. Yeah, it was bad. There was a lot of mismanagement, and it was a big mess. But I don't know to what extent it was a conspiracy, or to what extent it was a big fuck up. I lost a lot of respect for Neil deGrasse Tyson in the last few years. Not just over this, but that whole I wake up some days and I'm not sure if I feel more masculine or feminine today. All that jumping on the kind of the trans bandwagon. Politics, oh folks, politics. I didn't hear Noam Chomsky say anything in that period, but I maybe just wasn't in the right media. Yeah, the ones I heard that some of the comedians that were, these these American late night talk shows. Some of those comedians were all, if you don't get the jab and you get the disease, you shouldn't get treated. You should just be left to fend for yourself. The blood clot thing's kind of fascinating because what's the word I'm looking for? The guys that treat the dead bodies, the guys that pump the chemicals in to preserve you once you're dead. Mortuary, I can't remember the words, but like your funeral directory types. I can't remember the right word, folks. But they're pulling out these big long strands of white out of veins, like long white clots that are more like growths. When I first saw them, if you've ever watched Stargate and you saw where the Goa'uld infect a person and they did an operation to try and take the larvae out of people, it was like that. So they're not just normal blood clots necessarily. You've got a lot of this weird stuff going on with and the media wouldn't cover it. I was watching doctors interviewing like morticians. That's the word I'm looking for. And yeah, there was a mystery about what this bloody stuff was. These big white clots that they were pulling out of, like multiple inch long white clots in the venous system, in the veins after people died. And they're going to the government and like waving it around and saying, yeah, but what is this shit? What's this? And nobody would look into it. Nobody would run with it and test it and see what was what. That was strange. But yeah, you've also got the whole, whatever the heart, the irregular heart, arrhythmia and all of those, all of that from people with jabs and things. Yeah. Bletchley Park, yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm probably way behind. Yeah, okay, yeah, that was Chris. He told me morticians. That was the word I was looking for. I got there in the end, but I see your message now, so thank you for that. Jaffa Creek, yeah. They were, I mean, those big white clots were fascinating, but 2 feet long. Jesus Christ. And did we ever get the government to properly look at them and say what they were? Because you don't have that much white stuff floating around in your veins. What was it? Was it the cause of death as a blockage? Or was it something that congealed after death? These are the questions. Those were weird. And when you're watching doctors and scientists not getting answers from the government, I got you that time, you bugger. Yeah, there you are. Little black speck in the palm of my hand. Don't know why I've got so many mosquitoes in here tonight. Other than the fact that we had all that rain the other week. The other month, the entire month. Okay, folks, I think I'm getting tired. I think we'll draw a line under it there. We'll go to the 2-hour mark, which is only a minute away. But some good conversation. I'm not sure that I agree with all of it, but I'm happy to look into it and discuss some of it. Was that another mosquito? It landed on my arm. Okay, folks. We got 40 seconds to go. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Just helps you not miss any of my videos. We'll try and do the traditional outro, although she's snoring away with her back to us, but Yeah, don't get me blocked and blacklisted. Here we go, folks. From Tina, snoring away. I don't know if you can hear that. And from me, Delta Mike, out. Bye.